Hello and welcome to episode something or other. What is this, 13?
I am not sure at all. You have some kind of a weird count that started before me that I don't. Is it 5 for me? 4? 5?
8 there's no for you. You are now a part of Pretentious Podcast forever.
If it were me, I would just erase the previous.
Welcome.
And just start from now.
Welcome to episode 13 of the Pretentious Podcast, recorded on the 13th of October, 2017.
Horrible.
And today we are going to, basically the entire show is going to be all about the situation that you are living right now.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason we're doing it is because you and I were talking about the news. Where I am right now, your situation will be shown as a clip instead of a main topic.
Is that true?
It is, and it's sad that happens. There's depending on where you are, is how much news you'll get from that particular event that you're living through right now, which is the fires in Sonoma and the fires in California, and
Santa Rosa fire,
the Santa Rosa area. And tell me a little bit about what you're going through at the present moment.
At the present moment, like as of right now,
yeah,
as it's so far so good. There is, last I heard, there's two like major fires. There's the Nuns fire and the Tubbs fire. I don't know, I can't recall at the top of my head. One of them is at, they think, 12% containment right now. And the other one is at 3% containment, but they're expecting heavy winds this weekend, so
that could all pick up again.
It could all pick up again. Right now, for us, the major concern is the air quality, which isn't, you don't really think that's a big deal, but it is. Like our house smells like, it's like there's smoke in the house, and the surrounding areas are just covered in smoke. But it's, for some people, I live in Santa Rosa. I talk about Santa Rosa on the show all the time. Santa Rosa, the Twizzlers Report. I talk about Santa Rosa all the time. And it's, it's where I was raised. It's not where I live. It is my home. And there are areas of Santa Rosa that are just gone. There are portions that there's nothing there. It's just gone. And it's, I want to say this, like when you see a disaster and you see it on TV or you see it on whatever, it doesn't seem real,
right?
Because it's not directly happening to you. But this is a very real situation, and this is a very real thing. And I think that I want to tell everybody that just don't ever take anything for granted. Don't take your safety for granted. Don't take anything for granted. Always be prepared. We always expected that something would happen, but that it would be an earthquake. And we knew that there was a potential for a wildfire because they have happened in California before. But being that we are, like, there is a lot of rural Santa Rosa where we live. In Rincon Valley, that's our neighborhood, is Rincon Valley, where we're surrounded by hills and mountains. So we did realize there was a potential for a wildfire. But I want everybody to know that these things are real and that they can happen. And the best thing you can do is just be prepared. I wish that we were prepared. We got evacuated out of our house. We are technically in a mandatory evacuation zone right now. I feel as if I'm using, my eyes and my ears and my nose to keep a track of what is actually happening. And I don't.
You were working on shifts. You said you were sleeping in shifts and keeping a watch, and it's your turn.
We're sleeping on shifts.
Right.
The wife and I we're rotating, a few hours each, just keeping an eye on the mountains because it could all start up again.
You're very dry and low humidity as well out there, right?
Yeah. This is, the Golden State. It's golden. everywhere you go is dried golden grass, and it's just, if you're listening to this and you think to yourself, this can't happen to you. You know, this is me. I talk to you guys every week. This is me. You know, I'm a real person, and it's happening to me. So just, it could happen to you. Be ready. Get ready at all times. Have something packed that you can take with you, just in case. When it started, I wanted to
came
out of,
how did that happen?
It came out of nowhere.
Right.
And this is going to sound silly, but we had bags packed for, like, the apocalypse. You know, for example, the zombie apocalypse or things like that. Like these theoretical apocalypses.
Yeah.
But be ready. You know, be vigilant. Have water on hand. Have food on hand. Have a chest that you can just take with you when it's time to go, because we're running out the door with bags of apples and bottled water and just, you know, whatever, like, we can get whatever we can grab.
You're in a hurry to do it too, so you're really not thinking what you're going to need, right?
Like, I ran out the door with, you know, my laundry basket, because it's like, you don't just keep things, like changes of clothes packed. Just keep emergency clothes packed. Keep boots packed. Keep all that stuff just
somewhere.
What I'm saying is, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
you never know, and be ready. You know, be ready just in case your life could
change on a dime.
Just change on the drop of a dime.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is me. I talk to you guys every week, and I never thought it would be me, but it's me. It could be you. It could be anybody.
In your 40-something years in the area that you live in, have you ever experienced anything close to this, or ever had the fear of this before? Fire, not earthquake-wise, but just fire.
There was a fire in the 80s that reached the hills on the other side of our valley.
Yeah. And,
you know, I was younger, and I thought it was interesting, and we were ready to go, but I didn't realize the magnitude, because now that I look at the hill and I remember where the fires were, I go, that was pretty close. And if it were happening now, we would be leaving for sure. But at the time, I'm just like, whoa, look, the hills are on fire. You know, this is something that I'm going to, like, we do always face this risk, and it has nothing like this. I think when this is all told, this is going to be the second biggest fire in the history of the country. Like, it's already at the point where it's the third, and it's only slightly contained. I think, like, outside of the
it's still going.
Outside of the Chicago fires, this is going to be the worst. They're
30,000 acres by now, or
from what I read in the paper, it was at 64. But
Jeez.
This
Doubles.
is all just whatever. Nobody knows
yet
anything.
Right. When you
it's bad.
Sent that Voxer, you said that you had woken up.
My panicked Voxer?
And that's fine. I understand it. I mean, we prayed our asses off for you, but you said you woke up and you looked outside and you said it was exactly like being in hell, because you were looking all over the place and all you could see was black, red lines, ash and smoke, and that was it. And you just freaked.
It was like a volcano went off. Right. This is the best analogy I can make. Like I said, we're surrounded by these, I don't know, they're very large hills or very small mountains. I don't know which they are, but they surround us. And the one that we see out the back fence of my house was like a volcano. It was like, it was red with fire. The flames were, it's hard to judge the height because it is a distance away, but it was at least 30 feet flames, at least. And
wow.
They were spewing debris in the air. There were like things falling
all over the place. And
like there were not big chunks of things, but chunks of things falling. Just, if the fire was really barreling down on us, it sincerely was barreling down on us. And if the wind didn't shift directions, that would have been it for us. That would have been it. We were very fortunate, and it shifted toward a wooded area. There were a few homes there, but it shifted that way, away from the major. Where we live is on the outskirts of Santa Rosa. We are just about as far as you can get and still be in Santa Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
And the wind shifted away out of our direction. If it wouldn't have, I don't know what would have happened. When we left, the police came door to door. They were going door to door. They were going down the street with loudspeakers telling everybody, you got to get out now. And when we left, I took a picture of the front of the house and just said, that's it. We're never, we'll never be in this house again. And this is, we've been in this house for at least 20 years.
Wow.
And this Rincon Valley is my home. It's not where I live presently. It is my home. Yeah. I've raised my daughter here. I've lived here. I went to school here. This is my home. Right. And I thought that was it. And through the grace of God, I have no other way to put it. Through the grace of the Lord, we were so far so good. We were spared. And
you stayed at your sister-in-law's house?
We went to my sister-in-law's house across town. I'm not sure when this episode we're recording right now is going to drop.
It probably dropped today, the day of for recording.
I plan on doing a full episode. I'm going to do a Toys R Us report episode where I'm going to chronicle in detail our story of escape. Mm-hmm. Because it's a story of escape. We escaped with our lives, and I'm gonna go into full details there. I don't want to double up on the tales, but what was the question? I'm so sorry. I'm so tired.
You're tired. You haven't slept in since 3 days.
Monday. It's not very since Monday. This all jumped off
last Monday.
Sunday night, the winds picked up, and we get wind just like everybody, but there was this freakish windstorm. The winds were 40, 50 miles an hour. In my entire life in Santa Rosa, I have never seen anything like that. Not ever. The walls were shaking. The windows were rattling. I've never seen anything like that. And I woke up that night just because the windows were rattling. I'm a really light sleeper, and the windows were rattling, and I wanted to look out to see if the if the wind was blowing stuff around in our yard, and I saw the mountain was on fire. And I stayed up. At the time, you don't know what's going on. Right. I'm thinking to myself, well, the daughter has school tomorrow and the wife has to get up for work tomorrow. So
you figure it's all taken care of. Somebody's on that. You don't have to worry about that. Somebody's got it.
This is the modern world.
Right.
This is the modern world. Somebody's going to take care of it. But so I stayed up myself and just kind of looked out the window just to keep an eye. But by the next morning, everything was on fire. And we went to my sister. Oh, that's how this started. My sister-in-law's house. We went to my sister-in-law's. She was, she was kind enough to take us in. And it's, how it's like when you're staying at somebody else's place. It's you definitely appreciate the kindness, but you're sleeping on floors. So, we had, you're sleeping on the floor and you're not really sleeping well. And at the same time, when we left, I thought that was a wrap. I thought that was it.
Yeah,
so
you're constantly worried about, when am I going to go back to it, or if I am going to go back to, or.
Yeah. So we didn't sleep very much that night, but then we started getting reports that when this all jumped off, you have to think this is like the modern world, right? Everything is reliant on the internet, and everything is reliant on that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
and
social media and everything else.
The internet, to that part of town, was gone. The towers are burnt. The phones, like the cell phones, were out. Everything was out. This is another thing that I want to advise people of. I have always been very vigilant on the fact that I want a landline. I want a traditional wired phone in the house just in case.
Yeah.
And one of the things that happened here in Santa Rosa was this might all be hearsay, and I don't want to spread rumors. I'm not laying blame in any way, but the system wasn't in place with cell phones to warn people in specific areas. There wasn't a way to say Rincon Valley, run. There wasn't a way to say Bennett Valley, run. The only way was through the landline. They can hit a landline in an area and make them all ring.
Right.
And we did get the ring. Thank whoever. We got the ring on our phone, and this happened before the police were beating down our door.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's good.
We did have some degree of that. And I just want to say to everybody out there, if you have a landline phone in your house, it's worth whatever it takes to keep it just for the safety of your family.
Yeah.
That is the way. That is the easiest way for the fire people, for the police people to reach a particular neighborhood. They can just, flick a switch and say, hit Rincon Valley. But with a cell phone, all they can do is say, hit the entire town. And the police opted not to do that because only certain areas were being evacuated, and they didn't want everybody in town to panic and run because there are areas of
clogging
town,
the roads and clogging everything else, and you can't get out.
there are areas of town that are completely unaffected.
Right.
Which, God bless them. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that there are places for people to go to.
Mm-hmm.
For the people who are fleeing to flee to. But they didn't want to flick the switch and go all of Santa Rosa. So I guess my point, this long rambling point, is keep your landline.
Yeah, of course.
Just keep it. It's worth. I think we pay $20 a month, and if it could have saved our lives, this could have been the thing that saved our lives. There was this. By the time this is over, I legitimately believe the death toll is going to be in the hundreds because people weren't able to evacuate in time. There's an area of town called Coffee Park. It's over on the other side of town.
Mm-hmm.
And they were completely obliterated. It looks like a nuclear bomb was dropped. It's completely obliterated, and it happened almost immediately. Like, it just happened. It just happened, and they were gone.
Wow.
And I'm sure, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I'm just,
you're probably still in shock. It's probably a bit of you that's in a little bit of a shock situation. Plus, you haven't slept, but you're trying to make the point of the importance of taking care of yourself and being prepared, and also definitely being alert to the alerts, making sure that you're paying attention to what's going on, because you're going through a lot with your area, your whole sense of being and where you are is half gone because of the fire that just swept right through and took most of it away. You were talking about that earlier with me about how like the shopping mall area where you used to go shopping, it's like gone now. And
on the Toys R Us report, I frequently talk about this Kmart on the other side of town. We have this old school Kmart. It hasn't been renovated since the 80s. And I like to go there for just, a wave of nostalgia.
Right.
And yeah, just for the retroness. I like to shop there. It's like that's where I get my Archies. I'm a big fan of Archie, and that's the store in town that carries the Archie Digest. So we go there to get my Archies. We just go there for just, like a feeling of the old Santa Rosa. And it's gone. It's burnt to the ground. The shopping center is burnt to the ground. There is a hotel over there, a big event hotel, and it's gone. It's gone. There's something called the Sheraton Round Barn. It's like this giant red barn it's a landmark. It's one of the oldest structures in Santa Rosa, and it's gone. That whole side of town is gone, and realistically, that's to get there from here. You have to take, like, on the road, a very circuitous, a very difficult route to get there. It's just a lot of turning and twisting. It takes a good 20, 25 minutes to get there. But
Right.
if you're a blazing fire going over the hills,
Yeah, exactly.
you have a direct route to our house. Like if you were just going straight direct, it's not that far.
Mm-hmm.
And that whole area it's gone. There was an old folks, like a retirement trailer park over there called Journey's End, and it's gone. I was reading in the paper this morning, they've already found 17 people who've passed away there.
God.
And they're not at the point where they're looking for victims. These are just victims people have stumbled upon while, being over there trying to do whatever they're doing.
Right.
So once once this is over and they start going through there, I wouldn't be surprised if there's hundreds of people dead there.
Yeah.
They were older folks, and there was nobody there to get them out. I'm reading these reports, and there's 90-year-old people passed away, 95-year-old people. Like, there was nobody there to get them out. They didn't get out in time, and I think as time scrolls by, we're going to be hearing just more and more and more of this.
Most definitely, and it's so sad. All you can do is pray for the souls and hope it went very fast.
Yeah,
that's all you can do. Do you, right now where you are you consider yourself safe, even though the possibility, you think it would start back up again, or no?
That's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
I think of it this way. I don't want to die.
Well,
I don't want to
not.
die. I don't want my family to die. I don't want any of us to die. And if I felt as if there was imminent danger of us dying, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
allow myself to be here
Yeah.
if I felt there was an imminent chance of death. But you just don't know.
What about the local authorities and whatnot? Are they saying? Sorry for saying whatnot, but do they recommend staying? Or I'm sorry, not recommend, but have they mentioned still not safe to be home right now, or did they say come on back?
It's hard to get current information, like up to the second information.
Right.
If I'm understanding it correctly, we were on a mandatory evacuation, and the deal was the police were spread so thin that they're not stopping people from going into if you want to be there, they can't stop you from being there.
Right.
But they're saying don't be there. But if I'm reading the maps correctly, I believe it's been adjusted to a voluntary evacuation area. And I look at it this way. They are going to be overcautious. They don't want anybody to die. They don't want
Anybody hurt or anything. Yeah.
It's a legitimate risk of death, and they don't want anybody to die. So they are going to err on the side of caution, which I am 100% for. So I believe when they raise it to voluntary, if you kind of look at it in government speak, I would take that to mean it's more than likely okay, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because they're going to err on the side of extreme caution, which I completely understand. So if they're saying, you can go back if you want, that probably means that hey, if you see flames, leave.
Right.
If you see fire, leave. But if you want to go back and, examine your house or check your house, then, that's fine. We do have power. I mean, obviously we have power. I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have cable.
Good.
And we have internet. So
you'll be better notified than some of the other people, which that helps.
When we went to my sister-in-law's house, God bless her for taking us in, but she works. Like, she works 2 jobs. So she doesn't spend a lot of time in her house. So she doesn't have cable. and she doesn't have internet because, why bother? She's never there. Like, she's literally never there. So why bother? So when we were there, we were dependent on our phones, and the Verizon towers are gone. So
I was going to ask about that, if the cell towers had burned down. Or
we had very spotty service. So the whole time we're there, we have no idea what's going on. It's no idea. There were reports on our local radio station, KSRO, and that was keeping us somewhat informed, but up to the date, it's hard. Hello.
So when I ask this,
Yep.
you and I were talking about, of course, grabbing everything you can. You mentioned talking about. I told you, I said, if something like that happened to me, like in Virginia, we did have a massive earthquake for Virginia. I mean, it wasn't massive, but massive enough that the house was shaking and the house had to be torn down afterwards.
The house that you were living in at the time?
Yeah, because it was useless. There was no point in trying to fix it. The foundation was cracked. It was a lot shifted in the house. There was cracks showing up all over the place after this happened. But the first thing I grabbed, of course, was my hard drives. And I wanted to ask you, did you do the same thing because of all the work that you put into your podcasting?
Okay, let me tell you. When the fire hit, our main, like I said, the policemen came door to door and told us to get out. But we had an indication that we were going to have to get out. Behind our house is a middle school, and on the other side of the middle school is a swim club called Oak Park. And Oak Park burst into flames. It's an old wooden structure, and it burst into flames. There's no other way to put it. Like, it exploded. And once that building exploded, we realized we have to get out. This is the time that we're going to have to get out. So we started grabbing stuff. And the first thing I grabbed was the hard drive with all the Toys R Us reports, segment breaks, and files and stuff. And then I'm a comic collector. I like toys, but more than toys, I collect comics. And I have like a wall of all my good comics, like hanging up there.
Did you grab those?
I was on a ladder, and I grabbed as many as I could because you don't want to think that you're putting yourself at risk for collectibles, but at the same time,
you're putting yourself at risk for
collectibles. Like, I got the first appearance of Batgirl, and I got the first appearance of Poison Ivy. I grabbed the first appearance of the Disco Dazzler, my first appearance of Power Man and Iron Fist and the Falcon, and I'm just like, unfortunately, like, we have like high ceilings, like vaulted ceilings, so I'd have to get a ladder to get to the top. So
I just picture you hanging from rafters.
The top 3 rows are all still there, but I got all the bottom rows, and we booked it, and and we got the chance. Like, we decided to risk it after the first night. We're like, well, we're gonna risk it and go back just to see what there was. And we came back to the house, and the good Lord willing, the house was still standing, but there was
how
also.
How does that feel? Seeing, I mean, that must have been the most incredible Christmassy happiness in the world, to come around and see your house was still there.
When we were driving from my sister-in-law's house, she lives in a neighborhood called Roseland that, under best conditions, is 20 minutes across town.
Right.
And like, I can't point out enough. We live on the outskirts of town. We are practically in the woods, and she lives more toward the the urban side of town. And it took us a good 20-25 minutes to get here, and the whole time I feel like I'm on the verge of tears, and I don't think that is out of line, considering
of course
what's happening. But I will admit to you, I'll admit to everybody out there that this whole time I feel on the verge of tears. I'm just reading all these stories about people, and I'm being as strong as I can. I'm the leader of the family. I have to be as strong as I can, and
You could still
Like
be
hold,
strong and show emotion for others. That's absolutely fine.
I'll go cry in the bathroom by myself. All right,
I do it all the time.
like I do all the time.
Me
You
too.
beat me to that one.
Yeah.
But we, when we were coming back, there's debris in the road, and the wife is driving. We got we have a truck. We got a Dodge Ram, and we are careening, through town, avoiding. There's burnt out cars. There are just, there's obstacles, and we're just thinking, there's no way the house can be there. It can't be there because
It's so surreal. I can't imagine what that's got to be like.
And then when we came around onto our block, like we get, to the corner, and I see my friend Fred's house, and then I see like my friend Al's house, and then I see, Bob the DA's house, and I'm thinking, I can't believe that they're here. And then we finally, like, at that point, in your heart, you realize your house is there, but not until
You see it.
you lay eyes on it. And when we
Right.
came in, I couldn't. It's through the grace of God, our house was still here, and I
Right.
just could not. I couldn't believe it, but I also knew we weren't out of it yet. If you face, if you face the rear of our house and look off to the left, there is a road that leads to a city called Calistoga, and the city of Calistoga has been entirely evacuated. The whole city. It's a small city. I think the population is like 5,000, but the whole city is evacuated. And in between us and them, there are hills that are just all dry brush.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just dry brush. If I went there and I flicked a cigarette on the ground, it's a fireball.
Right.
And I knew this. So I knew that we weren't out of it yet. I knew that if the wind picked up,
It could all happen again.
it could all be gone. And me and the wife, you got to think, what is going to happen? You have to figure out what is your risk. And I figured if a fire comes, like if the actual flames come, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing you can do. But if the flames don't reach you and only the embers do,
Right.
that the best thing you want to do is wet down everything. You just want to wet down everything. So her and I are in this, like this, it's black smoke. It's black. Like we have bandanas on our face. Like that's, if there was a symbol of this disaster, it would be somebody with a bandana on their face, like a bandit. Like I have one around my neck.
I would imagine.
Right. Like it's around my neck right now. I have a black bandana with, I put Vicks inside of it because just to fight the smell. And
that's a good idea.
it is. It came to me that, like, how you see like a detective show when they go into like a crime scene. Sometimes they'll dab
Right.
like Vicks on their nose. So I thought maybe I'll put some in my mask. But we're out there with our masks on, just soaking. Like we turned the ground to mud. We have a lot. My wife's a gardener. She likes to garden, and we're at the end of the season. So you stop watering and the plants, they go dry and they die.
Yeah.
So we have these wooden boxes full of dried plants, and we're doing we're pulling them out of the ground. We're just like with our hand, the bare hands, just pulling the tomato plants out of the ground, and we're soaking the bushes the best as we can because California has been in a drought for like a couple of years now, and they've lifted the drought restrictions, but you still have drought-ish habits, if that makes sense. It seems like very wasteful to water your bushes. You've been taught over the drought.
Right.
They want everybody to remove their lawns, and they don't want you. So we don't water the bushes, so they're dry. They're dry, and
It's almost like
once
water.
you look at them now, you go that. If anything catches, it's going to be that.
Right.
So, like we're pulling as much as we can off, and we're watering them down. We spent like an hour just saturating our house in water, like the fence. Like we have a wooden fence, and we saturated it. We saturated the bushes, and we spent the time that we were here doing that, just in hopes that if an ember lands, that it'll land in mud. Like we turned it to mud to the best of our abilities. Another droutish thing you do, and this is going to sound disgusting to people who aren't here, but it was a full-on drought. You save the water when you take a bath or a shower. You save it for your plants.
That's not disgusting, but I understand.
It's dirty water.
Yeah, definitely. But
what we do is when you take a shower, and I don't know if everybody does this around here, but it's what we do. We have buckets in the shower, and they gather the water. If you're really feeling up to it, you can stand in the bucket, and then the water will rush down into it to fill this is what we water the plants with. This is what you do. It's drought. So we had all the shower buckets, and when we left, my daughter had taken a bath the day before, and this is going to sound gross, but you save the bath water and you use a hose to siphon it out into the yard.
Yeah.
We have, a water barrel, and you siphon the bath water out into the yard. So we had the full bathtub and all the shower buckets, and we're just, bucketing them through the house and just throwing it in, just trying to
you're
turn.
Glad you have it. I mean, yeah, definitely.
I'm glad we have it now. I just as an emergency precaution, we just, we filled the tub to the top just to have a water supply nearby, because you don't know.
Well, I was up at, I think it was 3:00 this morning, because that's about the time I always wake up and run out to the kitchen to get some milk and go back to bed.
Huh? Drink milk?
Yeah, a lot
Drink
of it.
milk?
A lot of
so
it.
Gross.
Yeah.
So gross.
Sorry.
Milk is ugh.
So I go back to bed and went on Facebook before passing out and saw that you had posted something that made me want to ask you some questions. One, it was a big spray painted sign that says, "You loot, we shoot." And I wanted to ask you if you've been having a lot of problems with that sin on top of the anguish of firing. Has there been idiots running around trying to steal from other people on top of all that?
That is an interesting question. You saw the "We loot, you loot, we shoot" sign. That is
And
pretty.
bravo
That's
for
pretty
that sign.
near my house.
Yeah.
Yesterday, the air got decent enough that I was able to take the dog out for a walk. The dog has been stir crazy, like the rest of us, because we have a dog door, and we have to keep the dog door shut because of the smoke. Because it's a hole. It's a hole in the house,
Yeah.
and they're going stir crazy because we're just taking them a little outside. So I finally got the chance to take her for a walk, and I saw that sign up around the corner. Earlier I had mentioned how Oak Park, the swim club, had burnt. The neighboring houses behind it were also just destroyed. There were many people who lost their homes behind Oak Park because that's a highly, highly, highly wooded area, and there were evacuations. People were told to leave, and they left that sign behind, or they are still there. Because a lot of people who were told to evacuate did not evacuate. People on my street did not leave. Some people didn't leave at all. And they put that sign up as a reminder that, you'll get blasted. But every day the sheriff is doing a press conference. They do 3 daily press conferences, one in the morning, afternoon, and night. And
Okay.
I try to catch at least one of these. They're on Facebook. I try to catch at least one of these every day just to see if evacs have been lifted, or if people I just want to know. And
Right. Of course, you want to be informed of what's going on.
the night before, they caught a gang of looters over on the Coffee Park part of town. This part of town was destroyed, just destroyed. And they caught a gang of looters over there. And then this morning I heard they caught a gang of looters on the other side of town. And the night before last, there were reports, and you're getting a lot of completely untrue reports, a lot of things that are just not in any way true. And so there were these reports going around that there were policemen going door to door through a Rincon Valley neighborhood telling people to leave, but when they would leave, the looters would come in. And as sad as it is, this turned out to be a verified report. The sheriff has warned everybody. If you are told to evacuate. You will be told to evacuate by a policeman in a complete police uniform. He said there are no plainclothes policemen out there evacuating people. You will see the car and the badge and just, the full uniform.
Full garb. Yeah.
The full garb. And what the potential looters are doing is they are going around with like windbreakers that say police, like a costume windbreaker.
Yeah, I got you. Especially this time of year, I would think they'd be easy to find.
Yeah, you get them down at Halloween Depot, or whatever that place is called. And they were telling people to leave. I saw a video. You know how some people have the electronic doorbells with a camera that you can see on your phone, who's at your door?
Yeah, those are great, by the way. But yeah.
I want to get one. Somebody posted a video of some incredibly sketchy looking person in a police garb, police blazer, knocking at their door going, you have to leave. But, the guy has, it's like a white guy with dreadlocks, white guy with dreadlocks and a police blazer and like a Tupac shirt, telling people to leave. This is actually what I saw. I'm not exaggerating.
I understand.
They're out there.
Way to go.
I can't imagine the mindset of somebody who would prey on somebody that way. I can't, because for the most part, everybody is being incredibly brave. Everybody is being brave. Everyone is being strong. Every time you see somebody, you go, be safe, be strong. I swear to you, like people are banding together.
That's what I love. It's sad that this happens this way.
This is another thing.
I wish it would happen like when nothing happens. Like everybody would just, that's a whole other agenda. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is another thing I want to advise people of.
Yes.
Know your neighbors. Get to know your neighbors.
Good
because
idea.
They are the people who are closest to where you are. Obviously, they're your neighbors. Get to know them, because when this all happened, we were all able to band together and share tools and help each other and just share information. Like, for example, the neighbor 2 houses over helped the lady next to us, chop down her bushes, and he was going from roof to roof, blowing out everybody's gutters, because that's a major fire risk. The gutters.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's.
He was going door to door helping people with their gutters, and I personally helped 2 people, like 2 different families, load their cars for evacuations. It's like, these are the people who are closest to you, and these are the people who are most likely to aid you when you need aid.
Save your life.
So if you don't know your neighbors, get to know them.
Yeah,
get to know them.
Your family.
Make your neighbors your friends and family, because you want the police to come help you, but in a situation like this, they're spread so thin that they can tell you to get out, but they can't help you get out. The people who are going to help you are the people who are in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
And outside of these looters, everybody has been just incredibly helpful. We needed a face mask. My daughter has asthma. Like I'm all right for the most part. The wife is all right for the most part. It sucks, but we're fine. But she has asthma, so we're down at the hardware shop, and they had sold out of masks, and we were just asking the dude who works there if he knew of anywhere else that was open that might have a mask. And while we're telling him that, the kid has asthma and that, it's like an emergency that we find one, because she was in a really bad place. A lady who was just shopping in the store, she said, I bought the last 3. I just, I want you to have this one. And she gave it to us just out of the kindness of her heart. She heard our story and she gave it to us out of the kindness of her heart. And that helped. We've since gotten masks. The wife is a medical professional, and she's been called back into work. The hospitals are just
booked.
They're overrun.
I would
and
imagine.
She got called back into work, and fortunately, they provided them with like higher quality masks. So since then, we've been able to do that, and as a way to try to repay that lady's kindness, my wife was able to get her hand on a box, and we've just we've been passing them out to anybody.
God bless you guys. That's nice. Definitely nice.
Yeah, everybody's come together except for these looters. That's there are people. I can't imagine the mindset of somebody who's just so depraved
It's
that
sad.
they want to prey on people who have lost everything. I don't.
The problem is unfortunately they think they deserve it because of the fact that Santa didn't bring them what they wanted that one year. You know, it's just something buried deep, and by God, they're owed everything that you have, and it's disgusting. It's just disgusting.
You saw the you loot, we shoot.
Yeah, it made me. My first thought was, "You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right." After everything you've been through, and then you go and do that to them after what they've just been through. That's just terrible.
I am not going to say that I support vigilantism and murder.
No.
But if you put yourself in the position to where you are facing down somebody's weapon because you're trying to rob, well, you put yourself in that position.
Yeah.
You did it to yourself. Nobody put you inside somebody's house as a robber. You did it to yourself. So
if someone
consider that
comes along and takes Brian's last comic of which one was the most important?
Oh, out of all of them, I have the first appearance of Batgirl. Batgirl is my personal favorite character.
So if he took Batgirl from you, would you take a rubber band and a rock and smack him in the middle of the head?
I would go to that degree. I wouldn't murder somebody for it, but I would be willing to tackle them and stop them, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I'm not
screaming, "Don't rip it."
Yeah. Don't take it out of the bag.
Don't take it out of the bag. I was talking to Doug, our friend Doug McCoy, the same day that...
Did you actually speak to Doug?
Yeah, I was on the phone with him the same day that you were voxing me your situation, which I had no clue about. When I first saw your Facebook post saying that you were safe, I figured you were okay, and then things changed, of course, overnight. Yeah. Because the next day you sent me a Voxer, and I received it while I was on the phone with Doug, and Doug told me that he had spoken with you. Doug said that he could smell the smoke from across the bay where he is. I think he's on the opposite side, probably about an hour away from you.
Probably a smudge more than an hour. It's pretty far. Not pretty far, but it's not close. You know,
but
it's a trip.
You had spoke with him that morning, and I thought it was very cool what he did for you.
Yeah, Doug McCoy, the great Doug McCoy of Crazy Creepy Cool Movies, got a hold of me via Voxer, and he told me that he wanted to come down and to help us fight the flames. He offered to get in his car, bring a shovel, and be there and, you know, shoulder to shoulder, fight the flames. And I really appreciate that because I've never met Doug in person. We've spoken a few times, and you know, I consider him, you know, like a podcasting pal, like an internet pal.
Yeah, but he's one of the gang, man. He's definitely one of the gang.
In reality, he was willing to put his safety on the line to come down and help me out. And I will never forget that. He is forever in my good graces in that regard. Just then he called again the next day to offer himself again if anything had turned. He's a good man. He's a good man.
Yeah, he is. Say. He definitely is. Mm-hmm. He knows how to help in times of need, no matter what.
Yeah, he's a good man. He has my respect completely.
I definitely want to put you in the same bracket of good man because of the fact that you definitely stayed to help.
I did my best.
You did quite a bit, and I appreciate it. I've always appreciated about you. I was really worried about you. You know I love you like a brother, not just because you're good looking, but because I've never seen what you look like.
I don't. Nobody has. I keep it that way.
Yeah,
I'm hideously deformed, and I don't want
looking like the Elephant Man with a voice like that. I say broadcast.
Good for me, huh?
Yeah.
I was actually on the radio 3 times over the past week.
Really?
The local station was just taking any kind of firsthand reports, and we were hearing reports that the middle school was burnt down and that the high school around the corner was burnt down.
Wow.
And this was what we heard when we were at my sister-in-law's. So this was this was weighing heavily on us because this is like right next to our house. So when we got back and saw that it was in fact still standing there, I called in just to say, these are false rumors. The middle school is still here. And they put me, they punch you right directly in.
That's important news.
They were on, 24/7 news reporting, and they just punched me right on. And I told them, middle school's here. Maria Carrillo High School is still here. I've seen them with my own eyes. This is a firsthand report. And then I called in again to say that the hardware store down the street was open, and because there was a report that it was closed. Like people were trying to find out where they can go because you'll need sprinklers and you need axes and you need all these things.
Shovels and everything else.
Shovels and just all these accoutrements. And their report was that the True Value was closed. And I said, no, we were just down there getting masks. The True Value is open. And then I had to call in again to say that the hospital that my wife works at, she works at a small, like a satellite hospital, not the main hospital. The main hospital was evacuated. The main Kaiser here was completely evacuated. And she works at a small satellite Kaiser, and they were open for, whatever they can do for people. They were there. So they wanted me to call in again to say that they're there.
That's good. That is good. How did it feel being on the radio?
It was weird. It made me wonder if anybody in Santa Rosa heard it and said, hey, that's that Icy Robots guy.
Did you get to promote yourself while you were on?
I didn't. I just got in and out. But it seemed like that'd be a little shameless. But I know we have, I'm not going to say a large audience in Santa Rosa because we definitely don't. But I know that there are like a good amount of my Santa Rosa peeps and Gino Vega's Santa Rosa peeps who listen. And, people like the local talk that we do sometimes. I wonder if anybody heard it and said, hey, that's that Icy Robots guy. Glad to see that he's still out there hanging and clanging. Glad to see he didn't.
Isn't that the guy who records with Kevin on Pretentious?
Yeah, glad to see that he didn't get turned to ash.
Yeah, and I am too.
Me? Me more than anyone else.
I bet. That. Brian, thank you so much for telling me your story today because, definitely. I wanted to hear everything that you went through. And I
wanted to get a firsthand account out there because there's a lot of news. People are seeing various things, and I wanted people to know that Santa Rosa's still here, and that we're still in the fight. We're still like that Elton John song. We're still standing, for the most part.
Always. Bless you again. Thank you so much for this.
You're welcome. You guys, take this as a lesson to yourself, and just be prepared. Be woke. Know your neighbors. Keep a landline. Be ready to leave at a moment's notice because you just never know what's going to happen. Keep your family safe. Keep everybody around you safe, and just do what you can to be a good person. Don't be a looter. Don't be a deficit. Be a positive. Do what you can. Do what you can to help your people is what I'm saying.
Do not hang your comics too high.
Don't hang your good comics the highest. I learned that myself. Keep them within an arm's reach because when it goes down, you got to be ready, and you want to keep your collection intact.
Amen.
Amen.
So join us next time when Brian says,
hopefully it'll be a little more fun than this. Hopefully next time we'll have some yucks. Hopefully next time we'll have some jokes. Hopefully next time I will still be here to make those yucks. Yeah.
If not, I'll have you here. Why not?
If not, just I don't know, call Gino Vega and have him imitate me.
I'll do it myself. Don't.
You could do it. Yeah, just do it. That terrible imitation that you like to do.